The great hall of the Galactic Council was silent. 12 species sat in their chairs, their eyes fixed on the empty space at the center of the room. The holographic display showed a small blue planet spinning slowly in the darkness of space. Earth, the humans called it home. Counselor Myra Hahn sat calmly in her seat. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled back in a tight knot. She wore the simple black uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. Around her, aliens of every shape and size whispered to each other. She could feel their fear. She could taste their confusion. The Dravati ambassador rose from his seat. He was tall, with 4 arms and skin like dark stone. His voice was deep and angry. 50 years, he said. For 50 years we have sent ships to your world. We have sent soldiers. We have sent our greatest warriors and our most powerful weapons. None of them returned. Not one ship. Not one soldier. Not one signal. Myra said nothing. She simply watched him. The Calvorian representative stood next. She was covered in thick brown fur with teeth like knives. Her people were known as the greatest ground fighters in the galaxy. We sent 40,000 soldiers to your planet, she growled. Our finest troops. They landed on your surface and then ... nothing. Silence. We received no communication. We found no bodies. It was as if they vanished into smoke. Myra tilted her head slightly. Still, she did not speak. One by one, the other representatives rose. The Zelthi spoke of their biological weapons that could kill entire cities. The Morvani spoke of their psychic warriors who could break minds with a thought. The Phalans spoke of their assassination teams that had never failed in 1,000 years. The Yurthi spoke of their robot armies that felt no fear. The Crestari spoke of their technology that was centuries ahead of. Every other species, all of them had attacked. Earth, all of them had sent their forces into the Sol system. None of them had heard anything back. The Dravati ambassador slammed his fist on the table. You will answer us, human. What happened to our people? Where are our ships? We demand to know. Myra Hahn stood slowly. She was shorter than everyone in the room, but somehow she seemed to fill the space. She looked at the Dravati ambassador with calm, cold eyes. They chose violence, she said. Her voice was quiet but clear. We responded. The room exploded with shouts and demands. Aliens jumped to their feet, waving their arms, calling for explanations. Myra waited until they grew quiet again. You came to our home, she said. You came with weapons and warships. You came to take our planet, to enslave our people, to steal what we had built. 7 times you came. 7 times we stopped you. But where are they? The Calvorian demanded. Where are our soldiers? Myra smiled. It was not a warm smile. Perhaps you should ask the next species who is thinking about invading us. The council fell silent. Far away from Verith Prime, in orbit around Earth. Admiral Una Park stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Resolve. She was tall and thin, with black hair streaked with white. She had fought in 3 of the 7 invasions. She had lost friends, family, and parts of herself that would never heal. She held a data tablet in her hands. On it were the classified files that told the true story of what had happened to those 7 species. She had read them many times. She would never forget what they contained. Captain Do-Yun Lee approached her. He was younger than Una, with a quick mind and steady hands. He had been her tactical officer for 5 years. The council session is ending, he said. Counselor Han did well. Una nodded. She always does. But they won't be satisfied with silence forever. Eventually they will want the truth. And will we give it to them? Una looked out at the stars. Earth hung below them, blue and green and white, beautiful and peaceful. It was hard to believe that this small world had destroyed the greatest armies the galaxy had ever sent against it. The truth would terrify them, Una said. The truth would make them understand that they are lucky we only wanted to be left alone. Do-Yun was quiet for a moment. Do you think they will try again? Perhaps. There are always those who think they are different, who think they will succeed where others failed. Una's eyes grew hard. They will learn the same lesson. In her quarters that night, Yuna opened the classified files again. She read the reports from the first invasion, when the Dravati had come with their fleet of 200 ships. She read about the battles in orbit, the fighting on the ground, the desperate days when it seemed like humanity might actually fall, but they did not fall. They adapted. They learned. They fought with everything they had. The Dravati had never faced an enemy like humans. They had never fought a species that would not surrender, would not negotiate, would not stop. The Dravati expected war to have rules. Humans taught them that survival has no rules. Yuna closed the file and stared at the wall of her quarters. She thought about the Dravati commander. She had killed in single combat during the battle for Sol. She thought about his face when he realized that she would not accept his surrender. He had offered her territory, resources, peace with honor. She had put a knife through his throat. War is not a game, she had told him as he died. War is not politics. War is survival. And humans will always survive. The other species in the galaxy did not understand this. They fought for power, for territory, for pride. They fought until fighting became too expensive, and then they made deals. Humans fought until the enemy was gone. Not defeated, not retreated, gone. This was why no one returned after fighting humanity. Because humanity did not leave survivors to return. They left only wreckage and silence, and a warning that echoed across the stars. Do not come here with weapons. Do not threaten our home. We do not want war, but if you bring war to us, we will end you. Yuna closed her eyes and tried to sleep. Tomorrow there would be more meetings, more questions, more aliens who did not understand why their ships never came back. She would give them the same answer Myra had given. They chose violence. We responded. And if they were smart, they would never ask again. The year was 2298, and the sky above Seoul was burning. Lieutenant Taiwan Kim gripped the controls of his fighter jet as he flew through clouds of smoke and fire. All around him, Dravati warships filled the sky like a swarm of metal insects. They were huge, each one the size of a city block, and they blotted out the sun with their darkness. The Dravati had arrived 3 days ago. 200 warships had appeared at the edge of the solar system and demanded Earth's surrender. When humanity refused, the Dravati had laughed. They had conquered dozens of worlds. They had never lost a war. This small blue planet would fall within a week. They were wrong. Taiwan rolled his fighter to the left as a beam of energy shot past him. He fired his missiles and watched them streak toward a Dravati gunship. The ship exploded in a ball of orange flame, and Taiwan was already moving to his next target. His radio crackled with voices from other pilots. 3 more coming from the east. I'm hit. Stay in formation. Watch your 6. Taiwan had been flying for 18 hours without rest. His muscles ached. His eyes burned. But he did not stop. He could not stop. If they stopped, Earth would fall. Far below the battle in the sky, Dr. Yoonji Choi worked in a bunker beneath the Seoul Defense Institute. She was surrounded by computers and machines that hummed with power. Her team of engineers and scientists had not slept in 4 days. Is it ready? Asked the voice on the phone. It was General Sun Ho Beek, the commander of Earth's orbital defense network. Yoonji looked at her creation. It was a small device, no bigger than a briefcase, but inside it was a program that could change everything. It's ready, she said. But General, I have to warn you. If this works, it will destroy them completely. There will be no surrender, no negotiation. We will be committed to total war. There was silence on the line. Then General Beek spoke. They came to our home to enslave us. They came to take everything we have built. Total war is what they chose. We are simply giving them what they wanted. Yoonji nodded, even though he could not see her. Uploading now. She pressed a button, and the program shot out into the network, spreading across Earth's defense systems and then reaching up into space. Toward the Dravati fleet, the program was a virus. But it was not like any virus the Dravati had ever seen. It was adaptive. It learned. It changed itself to overcome any defense. Yoonji had designed it to do one thing. Take control of Dravati ships and turn them against each other. High above Earth, the Dravati fleet commander stood on the bridge of his flagship. His name was Vorath, and he had conquered 11 worlds for the Dravati Empire. He watched the human fighters with contempt. They were brave, he admitted, but bravery was not enough. His fleet would crush them within hours. Then his ship's computer began to scream. Warning lights flashed across every console. Officers shouted in confusion. Vorath demanded to know what was happening. "Commander," an officer cried, "our systems are failing. Something is inside our computers." Vorath watched in horror as his own ship turned its weapons toward the vessel next to it and fired. The other ship exploded. Then another ship turned and fired on a third. Within minutes, the Dravati fleet was at war with itself. Taiwan saw it from his cockpit. He saw the Dravati ships spinning, firing at each other, crashing together. He did not understand what was happening, but he did not wait to find out. He and the other human pilots dove into the chaos, firing at everything that still moved. General Beak watched from his command center deep inside a mountain. His officers cheered as the Dravati fleet tore itself apart. But Beak did not cheer. He knew what came next. "Launch all drones," he ordered. "Deploy the kinetic platforms. I want nothing left alive up there." Earth had been preparing for this day for decades. Hidden in the asteroid belt were thousands of weapons platforms disguised as rocks. They now came alive, firing tungsten rods at incredible speeds toward the Dravati ships. Each rod hit with the force of a nuclear bomb. Millions of drones rose from Earth's surface, controlled by artificial intelligence that could think faster than any living creature. They swarmed the Dravati fleet like angry bees, firing lasers and missiles, crashing into engines and weapon systems. Vorath's flagship was the last to fall. He stood on his bridge as fires burned around him and his crew lay dead at their stations. He could not understand what had happened. His fleet was the pride of the Dravati Empire. How could these primitive humans have destroyed them so completely? The answer came when a human shuttle docked with his ship. Soldiers in black armor cut through the hull and stormed the bridge. At their head was a young woman with cold eyes and a rifle in her hands. "I am Commander Vorath of the Dravati Imperial Fleet," he said, drawing himself up with pride. "I offer my surrender. I demand to be treated as a prisoner of war according to Galactic Convention." The woman looked at him. She did not lower her weapon. "My name is Captain Una Park," she said, "and we do not accept surrenders." The last thing Vorath saw was the flash of her rifle. 3 days later, the battle was over. Not a single Dravati ship remained in one piece. The wreckage spread across thousands of kilometers of space. A graveyard of metal and bodies. Earth sent a single message to the Dravati home world. It contained the coordinates of the wreckage field and 3 words: "Do not return." The Dravati received the message. They sent scouts to investigate. The scouts found the wreckage, the bodies, and evidence that some Dravati had survived the battle. But those survivors were gone. Where they had been taken, no one knew. For the first time in their history, the Dravati Empire had lost a war. They had sent 200 ships and 50,000 soldiers to conquer one small planet. None of them came home. Back on Earth, Taewon Kim stood at a memorial for the pilots who had died in the battle. There were many names on the wall: friends, brothers and sisters, people he had trained with, flown with, laughed with. Dr. Yoonji Choi stood beside him. She looked at the names too. "Did we do the right thing?" Taewon asked quietly. "We killed all of them. Every single one." Yoonji was silent for a long moment. Then she said, "They came here to kill us. To take our homes, our families, our future. We did not start this war, but we ended it. And now maybe the galaxy will think twice before they try again." Taewon nodded slowly. He hoped she was right. But deep inside he knew this was only the beginning. Other species would come. They would look at Earth and see a small planet with no great empire, no ancient civilization, no galactic power. They would think humans were weak. They would learn. The room was dark except for the glow of holographic screens. Intelligence Director G1 SEO stood at the center of the Earth Security Council chamber, her hands clasped behind her back. She was 50 years old, with short gray hair and eyes that had seen too much death. 7 invasions, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. 7 species. 7 complete defeats. The council members sat in silence. They were generals, admirals, scientists, and politicians. They were the people who protected Earth, and they were about to hear the full truth of what humanity had done. Guan touched a control, and a holographic image appeared, a Dravati warship. The Dravati came first in 2298. They sent 200 ships and 50,000 soldiers. We destroyed them in 72 hours. The image changed to show soldiers covered in brown fur. The Kelvorians came next in 2305. They were known as the greatest ground fighters in the galaxy. They sent 40,000 troops to invade our surface. Commander Yun Wukong leaned forward in his seat. He had led the forces against the Kelvorians. He remembered every moment of that war. The Kelvorians expected to fight on flat ground, Jiwan continued. They expected our cities to surrender. They did not expect Commander Kong's tactics. Yunwu closed his eyes. He saw it again in his mind. The jungles of Vietnam where he had led the Kelvorians into traps. The mountains of Switzerland where the snow buried their armies. The deserts of Africa where the heat killed them faster than bullets. The Kelvorians were strong, Yuan said. But they could not survive in conditions that humans have lived in for thousands of years. Commander Kang used the Earth itself as a weapon. She paused. Kelvorian losses, 40,000. Human losses, 6,000. We captured their survivors and learned everything about their species. Their technology is now part of our defense systems. The next image showed creatures with long tentacles and bulging eyes. The Zelfi came in 2312. They used biological weapons. They thought they could release diseases that would kill all humans. Dr. Ariam Yoon, the council's psychologist, spoke up. The Zelfi made a critical mistake. They studied human biology but not human history. They did not know that we have fought against diseases for all of our existence. Plague, smallpox, influenza, we have survived them all. Guan nodded. Our medical teams created vaccines within days. Then we captured Zelfi ships and released their own weapons on their fleet. The disease killed them in hours. They never made it past the orbit of Mars. The council members shifted uncomfortably. This was the part of the report they did not like to think about. Using the enemy's weapons against them was effective. But it felt wrong somehow. Ji-1 did not pause. The next image showed beings that looked almost human, but with skin like silver mirrors. The Morvani came in 2319. They were psychic. They could control minds, read thoughts, and drive people insane with a look. She turned to face the council. They thought they would simply take control of our leaders and force us to surrender. But Dr. Yoon had studied their species. She knew their weakness. Ariam stood and walked to the holographic display. The Morvani were powerful, but they were also sensitive. Human minds are ... chaotic. We feel many emotions at once. We have memories of terrible things, war, loss, fear mixed with memories of joy and love. When the Morvani tried to enter human minds, they were overwhelmed. She touched the control, and the image showed Morvani soldiers on the ground, clutching their heads, screaming. We trained our people to think of the worst and best moments of their lives at the same time. The Morvani could not process the information. Their own psychic powers destroyed them. Ji-1 took over again. The Phalans sent assassins to kill our leaders. We caught them and learned their secrets. The Earthi sent robot armies. We hacked their machines and turned them into scrap metal. The Crestari had the most advanced technology in the galaxy. She smiled grimly. We took that technology and made it better. The final image showed the wreckage of the Crestari fleet. It was the largest battle of all 300 warships with weapons that could destroy moons. The battle had lasted 2 weeks. The Crestari underestimated us because we were young, Jawan said. They had been a spacefaring species for 10,000 years. We had been in space for only 300. They thought their experience would crush us. She looked around the room. But experience can be a weakness. The Crestari fought the way they had always fought. They used the same tactics, the same strategies, the same technology. They did not adapt because they had never needed to adapt. Commander Hyunwoo nodded slowly. Humans adapt. It's what we do. It's how we survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars. When something doesn't work, we change it. We find another way. Exactly, Jiwan said. In 2 weeks, we learned everything about Crestari technology and turned it against them. Their shields, their weapons, their engines, we figured out how to break all of it. By the end, they were running from us. She turned off the holographic display. The room fell into darkness except for the faint glow of emergency lights. Total alien losses across all 7 invasions, she said quietly. 12 million soldiers. 812 warships. Countless weapons and technologies. She paused. Total human losses, 847,000. The numbers hung in the air. It was a victory, but it did not feel like one. Almost 1 million humans had died defending their home. The galaxy now fears us, Jiwan said. They tell stories about the planet where ships go to disappear. They warn their children about the humans who cannot be beaten. General Beak, now old and white-haired, spoke from his chair. Is that what we want? To be feared? Jiwan looked at him for a long moment. We want to survive. Fear keeps us safe. When they fear us, they do not attack us. And when they do not attack us, we do not have to kill them. She walked to the door, then stopped and looked back. We did not choose to be warriors. We did not ask for these wars. But when they came for us, we did what humans have always done. We fought, we survived. We won. She opened the door and light from the hallway spilled into the room. And if they come again, we will do it again. As many times as it takes. Until they finally understand, you do not attack humanity and return home to tell the story. She left, and the council sat in silence, thinking about the wars they had won and the wars that might still come. Outside the windows, Earth turned slowly beneath them, blue and green and white, beautiful, peaceful, and more dangerous than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The prison was buried deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon. It had no name on any map. It did not officially exist. Only a handful of people knew what was kept inside its walls. Interrogator Junho Shin walked down the long white corridor, his footsteps echoing in the silence. He was a thin man with tired eyes and a calm face that never showed what he was thinking. He had worked in military intelligence for 20 years. He had questioned hundreds of prisoners from a dozen worlds, but none like this one. The guard at the final door saluted and stepped aside. Jinho entered the room and looked at the creature sitting in the chair across the table. His name was Veltari. He was Crestari, one of the most advanced species in the galaxy. His skin was pale blue, and his eyes were large and dark like pools of ink. He wore simple gray clothes that the prison had given him. His hands were folded on the table in front of him. He had been a fleet commander. He had led 300 warships to Earth. Now he was the only high-ranking Crestari ever captured alive. Junho sat down across from him. Good morning, Veltari. Good morning, Junho. The Crestari's voice was soft and musical, even after 3 years in this cell. You look tired today. I did not sleep well. Bad dreams? Junho did not answer. He opened the folder he had brought and placed it on the table. I have more questions. Veltari smiled. It was a strange expression on his alien face. You always have more questions, and I always answer them. I've told you everything about our fleet, our weapons, our tactics. What more can I give you? Today I want to ask you something different. Junho leaned back in his chair. I want to know what you think of us. The Crestari's dark eyes studied him. That is an unusual question. Humor me. Veltari was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke slowly, choosing his words with care. When we first detected your species, we were not impressed. You were young. Your technology was primitive. You had barely left your own planet. We thought you would be easy to conquer. He paused. We were wrong. What changed your mind? The way you fight. Veltari's eyes grew distant. We have conquered many worlds. We have fought many species. All of them follow patterns. They fight for territory, for resources, for power. They have limits. They surrender when the cost becomes too high. They negotiate when they see they cannot win. He looked at Junho. Humans do not follow these patterns. Junho said nothing. He waited. Your people fight for things we do not understand, Valtari continued. Abstract things, freedom, dignity, love, revenge. You will die for strangers. You will sacrifice everything for ideas. You do not surrender. You do not negotiate. You do not stop. He shook his head slowly. When we invaded your world, we expected a war. We got something else. We got a force of nature. You did not fight us like soldiers. You fought us like a storm, like a fire, like the ocean. You could not be reasoned with or bargained with. You simply destroyed us. The door opened, and Dr. Soman Park entered. She was the medical officer assigned to the prison, but she had become something more over the past 3 years. She brought Valtari his meals. She treated his injuries. She asked about his family and his homeworld. She showed him kindness. This confused Valtari more than anything else. Good morning, she said, setting down a tray of food. It was prepared the way Crestari liked it, something she had learned from him in their conversations. How are you feeling today? I am well, doctor. Thank you. She smiled at him and left. Valtari watched her go, and his expression was troubled. That is the other thing I do not understand, he said to Junho. The kindness, what do you mean? You wage total war. You destroy your enemies completely. You show no mercy in battle. Valtari gestured toward the door where Soman had left. And then you show us this? Care, compassion? You feed us food we like? You heal our wounds. You ask about our lives. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. Why? Junho thought about the question. It was something he had asked himself many times. Because we are not monsters, he said finally. We kill when we must kill. We destroy when we must destroy. But we do not enjoy it. We do not take pleasure in suffering. When the fighting is over, we try to be something better. Valtari stared at him. That makes no sense, I know. You are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. You could rule everything. You could crush every civilization that ever threatened you. Valtari's voice rose with frustration. Why do you not? Junho smiled sadly. Because that is not who we want to be. They sat in silence. The weight of 3 years of conversations hung between them. Junho had come here to learn about the Crestari, to gather intelligence, to find weaknesses. But somewhere along the way, he had also come to understand something about humanity through this alien's eyes. If we released you, Junho said slowly, what would you tell the Galactic Council? Valtari did not hesitate. I would tell them to build a wall around this system. I would tell them to mark it on every star chart as forbidden space. I would tell them to never, ever look inside. Junho nodded. That is what we hoped you would say. Valtari's eyes widened. You are going to release me? Perhaps. When the time is right? Junho stood and gathered his folder. We do not want to keep you forever. We do not want prisoners. We want the galaxy to leave us alone. He walked to the door, then stopped and looked back. But understand this, Valtari. If your people or any others come to our system with weapons again, we will not take prisoners next time. We will not leave wreckage for you to find. We will hunt you to your homeworlds and end your civilizations. Not because we want to, because you will have left us no choice. Valtari sat very still. I understand. I hope so. For everyone's sake. That night, Junho stood at a window looking out at Earth. The blue planet hung in the black sky. Beautiful and fragile and impossibly precious. Soman came to stand beside him. Do you think he really understands? She asked. Jeyuan thought about it. I think he understands better than most. But understanding and believing are different things. The galaxy has to see it to believe it. And if they don't believe? Junho's face was hard. Then we teach them. The same way we taught the others. Someone was quiet for a moment. Sometimes I wonder if we've become the monsters we were fighting against. We are not monsters, Jinho said. Monsters attack. Monsters conquer. Monsters enslave. We just want to live in peace. We have never attacked anyone who did not attack us first. He turned to face her. But we will defend ourselves. We will always defend ourselves. And if that makes the galaxy afraid of us, then so be it. Better to be feared and alive than loved and dead. Soman nodded slowly. She did not agree with everything he said. But she understood it. Back in his cell, Veltari sat alone in the darkness. He thought about Junho's words. He thought about Dr. Park's kindness. He thought about the war he had lost and the fleet that had been destroyed, and he thought about what he would say to the Galactic Council. If he ever saw them again, he would tell them the truth. Humans were not what the galaxy thought they were. They were not primitive. They were not weak. They were not simple. They were the most terrifying species the galaxy had ever seen. And the most terrifying thing about them was not their weapons or their tactics or their willingness to destroy. It was the fact that they did not want to. They wanted peace. They wanted friendship. They wanted to explore the stars and share what they found, but if you raised a weapon against them, they would destroy you so completely that the galaxy would never forget. That was the message Veltari would carry, and he prayed that the galaxy would listen. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was full. Representatives from all 12 spacefaring civilizations had come to hear what humanity would say. Some were curious. Some were afraid. All of them wanted answers. Admiral Una Park stood at the center of the chamber in her formal military uniform. Her medals gleamed under the lights won for each of the 7 invasions she had survived. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp as steel. Behind her stood the human delegation, Counselor Myra Han, Intelligence Director G1SCO, Commander Yun Wukong, and Dr. Arya Mune. They had all fought to protect Earth. Now they had come to offer something different. The Dravati ambassador spoke first, as he always did. You have kept us waiting long enough, human. 50 years of silence. 50 years of unanswered questions. Today you will give us the truth. Yuna looked at him without expression. Yes, today you will have the truth. She touched a control, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed the combined military strength of all 12 council species, their fleets, their armies, their weapons, their defenses. Then it showed Earth's. The numbers were not close. Gasps and whispers spread through the chamber. The alien representatives stared at the display with shock and fear. In 50 years of fighting off invasions, humanity had built a military force that could challenge the entire council combined. They had learned from every species that attacked them. They had taken the best technology, the most effective weapons, the most powerful defenses. They had improved on all of it. They had created things that no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. The Calvorian representative growled low in her throat. You could destroy us all. Yes, Una said simply. We could. Silence fell over the hall. The weight of that statement pressed down on everyone present. Then Counselor Myra Han stepped forward. She was small and gray-haired, but she stood as if she were the tallest person in the room. But we will not, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. We did not build this force to conquer. We built it so that no one would ever try to conquer us again. She touched the control, and the military display disappeared. In its place appeared images of Veltari and hundreds of other prisoners that Earth had captured over 50 years. These are your people, Myra said. Soldiers, scientists, commanders. We took them during the wars you brought to our door. We kept them alive. We kept them healthy. And today we are giving them back. The chamber exploded with noise. Representatives jumped to their feet, shouting questions, demanding explanations. Myra waited until they grew quiet again. We are returning all prisoners to their homeworlds. We are providing star charts to the locations where you can recover your dead. And we are offering something else. She looked around the room, meeting every pair of eyes. We are offering peace. The Crestari representative leaned forward. His voice was suspicious. What do you want in return? Trade, Myra said. Cultural exchange. Scientific cooperation. We want to learn from you and share what we have learned. We want to explore the galaxy together, not fight over it. The Morvani representative made a sound of disbelief. After everything that has happened? After all the death? You offer us friendship? Myra nodded. We did not start these wars. Every time you came to us, you came with weapons and demands. You came to take what was ours. We simply defended ourselves. She paused. But we do not want to be at war forever. We do not want to be feared and hated. We want to be part of something greater than ourselves. The Dravadi ambassador slammed his fist on the table. How can we trust you? You destroyed our fleets. You killed millions of our soldiers. You showed no mercy. Admiral Yuna stepped forward. Her voice was cold as ice. You came to enslave us. You came to burn our cities and take our planet. You showed us no mercy. We simply returned what you gave. She looked around the chamber. But that was war. This is peace. They are not the same thing. The Dravadi opened his mouth to argue, but the Crestari representative raised a hand to stop him. He looked at Myra with his dark, deep eyes. If we accept your offer, he said slowly, what guarantee do we have that you will not turn on us? Myra smiled. It was not a threatening smile, but it was not warm either. No guarantee? Just as we have no guarantee that you will not attack us again. Trust must be built. It takes time and effort. But we are willing to try. She gestured to Veltari, who stood among the prisoners being returned. Ask him. Ask him what he learned during his time with us. Ask him whether we are monsters or something else. Veltari stepped forward. He looked at the council representatives, his own people, and the others who had sent armies against Earth. He thought about Jinho's questions and Summon's kindness. He thought about everything he had seen and learned in 3 years as a human prisoner. They are not what we thought, he said quietly. They are dangerous, yes. More dangerous than anything the galaxy has ever faced. But they are not evil. They are not cruel. They are simply determined. He looked at Myra. They will destroy any threat to their home. They will fight with everything they have. But if you come to them with open hands instead of weapons, they will welcome you. I have seen it. The chamber was silent. Then the Crestari representative spoke. I vote to accept Earth's offer. One by one, the other representatives voted. Some hesitated. Some argued. But in the end, the vote was unanimous. Earth was no longer an enemy. Earth was a partner. After the session ended, Myra stood with Yuna on a balcony overlooking the city. Ships flew through the sky carrying diplomats and traders. For the first time in 50 years, there was no talk of war. Do you think it will last? Yuna asked. Myra watched the ships. I don't know, maybe not. There will always be those who want what we have. There will always be threats. She turned to face Yuna. But today we showed them something. We showed them that strength and peace are not opposites. We showed them that we can destroy our enemies and still choose to be kind. Yuna nodded slowly. She thought about all the battles she had fought, all the friends she had lost, all the enemies she had killed. It had been necessary. She did not regret it. But she was tired of war. I hope they remember, she said. I hope they remember what happens when they forget. Myra's eyes grew hard for just a moment. Oh, they will remember. The galaxy will always remember what happened to those who attacked humanity. And if they forget ... she looked out at the stars. We will remind them. In the years that followed, Earth became a center of trade and learning. Species that had once sent armies to conquer the small blue planet now sent students, scientists, and merchants. Humans traveled to distant worlds and distant species came to Earth. The galaxy was not perfect. But it was at peace. And when young Aeons asked their parents about the planet called Earth, they heard the same story, a long time ago. 7 species tried to conquer the humans. They sent their fleets, their armies, their most powerful weapons. None of them returned. Not one ship. Not one soldier. Not one signal. But when the wars ended, the humans did not seek revenge. They did not conquer their enemies. They offered peace and friendship and a chance to build something better. That was the lesson of Earth. That was the warning and the promise. If you come to them with weapons, they will destroy you. If you come to them with open hands, they will welcome you like family. And that was how the most dangerous species in the galaxy became its greatest hope. No one returned after fighting humanity. But those who came in peace found the stars' most loyal friends, and the galaxy was never the same again.